We see with one love, one heart, one drum beating to a song they're singing us home. We dance in white light under the starlight. We are the sacred seeds of the sound of Om. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers.
So welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got guests. We've got some people that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm so glad to see them. And we've got Zoomers. Welcome, Zoomers. And Vicki, you're really not a first timer. You've come many times, haven't you?
The other place, yeah.
So we're glad that you get to see our new digs. And so welcome, welcome. We don't really have any real first timers, but this is the right place, the right time to be right here with us in unity. And we all wore our t-shirts very proudly yesterday, unapologetically inclusive. This is Pride Month, and whatever LGBTQ, age, whatever, you're all welcome here. And here we are.
Oh, look at us.
Isn't that a cute selfie? Oh, I love that one. We all got our heads in there.
The one just beard on it.
Yeah, really? Yeah, we got a great view.
Oh, I just love that picture.
Yeah. I'll have to send that out, Pam. It's a really good one.
So I can put it on the video.
So it was a really hot and steamy day, and this is June, you guys. And we were all going to try to make all the booze. And Chris and I did a little bit, and I said, Chris, I'm heading back to the car. But it was fun to get together like that and to have the t-shirts. We all wore the same t-shirts. So I'm going to start. We're going to do kind of a moving prayer. I've been doing this. This comes from my Nia dance, everybody. So, here we are together, this beautiful summer day. Start with your hand on your heart. No matter what's been going on, couldn't find a parking place, or whatever, rushing to get here, now you're here. You're with us on Zoom. Put your hand on your heart and gather yourself and feel your wholeness. And take a breath. And then we put our hands out to our community, this beautiful community that we have here at Unity, that we've been growing and thriving since we moved to our new space. And put your hands up for your Unity teachers. We've got one here, Reverend Colleen Brown, that we haven't seen in a while. We're so excited. And whoever your teachers are, we each are each other's teacher. So we put our hands for that. And then, the space. We are so grateful for this bright space that we've all created. In particular, we got to give Russ a lot of credit for his making it so nice. And then we raise our hands for unity, not just me, unity. All the teachings, the principles, all that Charles and Myrtle left us, and all the authors since then. There's so much of unity. And finally, for all that is, yes, we are all part of it. And then slowly lower your hands. So grateful that we are here today. Let us just say our opening statement together. Together there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. So, the daily word. I didn't get a volunteer for the daily word, but, and I don't Let's just say the affirmation together. That'll give us more time. And actually, if you read the Daily Word, I chose a slightly different one from the archives because I just needed something a little more meat than what they had. So let's say this together. Kindness is the word. It's a beautiful word, and we need so much of it. So we say together, divine love flows through me as acts of kindness. And I love from Zechariah, render true judgments, show kindness and mercy to one another. Let us do that, yes. Okay. Our vision here, I think it includes kindness because it is about inclusion. A unified, diverse world embracing divine connection and inclusion for all. That's what we're about. And let's say our mission together: to shine light, peace, and love by empowering and transforming lives through experiences of service and community. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel we've been living that. We've been living that. And isn't it wonderful, Colleen? And we've got more to go. I mean, but it really has anchored us. I believe it's really anchored us. And it's guiding us into the future. Angel, would you come light the Christ candle?
Yes, we are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For every being, the light of Christ shines through each of us, illuminating the world around us. Each one of us is a keeper of the light, shining through us to bless each person in each situation we encounter. And Jeannie talking about kindness, that means we get to share our kindness with everybody. Just keep that in mind. We light this candle as a symbol of the light of Christ, so we may remember the light that shines in each one of us, no matter where we are.
And we say namaste, we behold the Christ in each other, but dear to ourselves. Now, I had a request for this song, and since we've talked about the Christ light, I thought I'd go ahead and play this song. Let's see. Go ahead. Okay, Angela requested that yesterday, and I knew that I was going to play it after. We don't normally play something after the Christ candle, but I knew I had to do that. And I know this video, but there was something about seeing it today that I felt it. I don't know about you all, but I just felt this light inside and how we share with each other. Wow. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
So claiming our divinity, that's what affirmative prayer is about. And that's what unity has always been founded on, is prayer. And so Silent Unity is open 24/7, many ways to contact them, and you will feel their light, and you will get the light for sure if you're feeling a bit dim, or even if you want to celebrate. But let's...
I have no prayer request today.
Well, what...
I have a friend who's in brain surgery, emergency brain surgery right now.
Right now.
And he's the partner of a lifelong good friend of mine.
Okay.
And the surgery's going to be 6 hours long, and so ask for prayers.
What's his name?
Let's just hold him into community. So, and his name?
Nick.
Nick. Okay, holding Nick. Any other prayer requests? Yes.
Yes, my sister-in-law Crystal, she had a procedure done on Wednesday. And we're waiting the results, because the results will determine whether she can do more chemo or whether she might have the ones for it. So we haven't heard from her back yet. We've taken that as a good sign. I'm just holding her. She has, I always joke around with her because we laugh all the time, but I'm like, she's the happiest cancer patient I've ever seen in my life. And I gave her Joe Dispenza.
Well, see, she is not her cancer. She is light. And so we will hold that. Crystal, Nick, there's some people that aren't here today. Pat and Sandy, who no longer can come to the service. And we'd hoped that Linda Strickland would have come today, but she is, I hope, on Zoom. Catherine Babb. You know, there are many people over the years, and I know I'm not naming all of them, but we hold all of them. So let's take a moment for prayer then in our community. So let's breathe into the power of this moment with this group in this sacred space that we've created together for this prayer time. God is life, love, and wisdom. God is. We are 100% human and 100% divine. And even though we experience many human things and circumstances and stresses that challenge us, we can always turn to spiritual answers in the face of these obstacles. The spectacle and the chaos and whatever, the cruelty, whatever is going on, some of these things just can't be sustained. Goodness prevails. There is only one presence and one power, and goodness prevails. The impact of these obstacles, these offenses, whatever it is we're experiencing, they can pass right through us as we move over and under and through these obstacles that appear to be so hard and permanent, but it is only appearance, and we know that. We turn to our divine nature. Grant us the wisdom to see beyond the difficulties, the wisdom and the courage to move forward with faith and strength, or any of the divine powers that we know are us, or in us. Help us to remember that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth and transformation. And we're going to go over the affirmation. We can turn these hard obstacles into soft steps that we can go through. Let us remember the daily word today, kindness. Obstacles, and with obstacles we have a choice. We can be grumpy and angry and revengeful and all of that. But we can also choose kindness. I feel the presence of the divine strongly in all the acts of kindness. Whether I am the giver or the receiver, I feel the love and the care and the generosity and compassion of the divine during moments of kindness. So much love. I pray that the world can become lighter and brighter as kindness spreads among individuals, communities, and nations. So just reframe the obstacles. Drop it. Embrace yourself. Embrace the kindness. Embrace your divinity and your strength and your faith. And let us go forward. And so it is. Amen. Amen. I wanted to kind of continue on that theme of light because we are really lucky today. We've got some light beings that are going to be sharing with us, Angela and Reverend Colleen. And then I've got a kind of a surprise in the middle. There's a video I'm going to play. So our theme for this month has been obstacles. And obstacles be gone. And obstacles are sacred teachers, and Russ did such a wonderful job sharing last Sunday about his experience in the Marines, and what that taught him. And so we're going to be hearing more. I wanted to hear not just from me, but from others. So I'm really excited about this Sunday. Just as a real quick review, 2025, we thrive. And so these are the themes that have been building through the months. So we start with that power of thought, and then the thoughts are creative forces that shape our lives, and they're the beginning of the creation process. We find clarity in our spiritual mission, as we've been doing this year in our community, and we align our actions with our intentions. And we do that personally, and we do that here in community. And from our divinity, we create our life experience and manifest love, peace, wholeness, and abundance. But now we know life happens. And this is one of Beverly's slides. I love this slide. So life happens. Obstacles come up. Oh, yes, they do. And remember, we can be the victim. It can happen just to me, or by me, or through me, or as me. And as Chris said last Sunday, life just is. So, there's a lot of ways to look at obstacles, and it does depend on consciousness, right? With an obstacle, there can be a lot of chaos, but then we claim our order, and we use our creativity, and we can get that dynamic, that creative tension going together and creating something else. And this kind of came from these are a couple of slides from last month. The affirmation is, this was from Reverend Becky still sends her newsletter to us, and the affirmation is, I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. So there is that. Now, Lorraine, here we go. So I was thinking of pebbles and all, but then I also thought of the bridge. We can go over, through, under, there's a lot of ways to get around these obstacles. But I think of the rocks in the stream and the flow that still goes, and I think of this bridge. And for those of you who don't know, Lorraine Copy and let's see, Sandy Groves and Sherry Smith and Mary Jane West, just the four of you, right? They created this beautiful mural in our older church. And of course, Lorraine, we couldn't take it apart and move it with us. We kind of thought about
Has
it.
anybody been able to sneak in and see if it's still up?
No, I haven't tried that. But I will never. I've got this beautiful shot of the painting. I'll never forget it. So I always loved to. Actually, it may be a little close up. Was the sun a little bit? Was there more in the sun, or was that a little bit higher? Yeah. But I always loved sitting out there and looking into that light. So light, see, it's a kind of a theme today. So anyway, but I could go on, but I really want us to get to our speakers. So Angela is going to be our first speaker, and I'm so happy because we've got a newer member and someone who has been with us for a long time with our Unity of Little Rock. So I love it that we're combining. So Angela, I'm going to leave it to you right now.
Thank you, Jeannie. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I'm going to start my story off with a memory from childhood. So I don't remember exactly how old I was, but let's say around 7 or 8. But I went through this phase where anytime guests would come over, as soon as the doorbell rang, I would rush to my room, grab a book and a lamp, and hide myself off in the closet, which is a weird phase. My parents were baffled by this. I was baffled too until I got a little older and started to understand a little bit about what maybe was going on. I think there were a couple things. One, I later learned that I'm an introvert. And so that means that when I'm around people, even if I love the people, it drains energy from me. And so as a child, I think I struggled with understanding those difficult feelings of like people I like coming over, but I don't want to see them. So that was part of it. And then I think also that was what was playing a part of it was even at that young age, I was introduced to the voice of my inner critic. And I think we all have had at least one experience in our life where that inner critic has said some not so nice things to us. And mine was particularly harsh. And at that age, I didn't know what to do about it other than to just believe it. So if it told me that I was nothing, that I wasn't smart enough or pretty enough or fun enough, I believed it. And the inner critic just makes you feel small and makes you want to hide in a closet with a book and a lamp. And that's all I could do as a kid. But as I got older, I got a new strategy. My new strategy was, I'm going to fight against this inner critic. I'm going to work so hard that it doesn't have anything bad to say about me. And so I worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And as you all know, the inner critic is never satisfied. Never. No matter what you do and no matter how great you do it, that inner critic will have something to say about you. And so I struggled with this through high school, through college, through my early working years. It was just always this voice telling me that I was not good enough. One slight benefit of this is that you do tend to achieve a lot. I achieved quite a bit trying to satisfy this voice in my head. But those achievements were never done in peace. My anxiety was always at 100. I always felt small. I always felt like I just wasn't doing enough no matter how hard I was working. It was just an endless treadmill that would never stop. But then thankfully, I found Unity. So this was Unity Palo Alto out in California. That's where I first got introduced to it. And the principle that stuck with me the most was principle number 3, that talked about how our thoughts could create the experiences around us. And that was just a game changer for me. I realized they were, talking about how you can create heaven and hell right here on earth just based on your consciousness. And I realized I had been living in essentially hell every day for a very long time, most of my life. And so I learned there about the affirmations you can speak, the truth you can speak to yourself. And I had a new tool or weapon to use against this inner critic. It wasn't just I had to believe what it said. It wasn't that I had to fight against it to prove it wrong, but I could just speak back to it, speak that truth. And that started giving me a little more peace, a little more joy. Even though I wasn't hiding in the closet anymore as an adult, there were ways that I was still hiding. And knowing these affirmations and being able to speak this truth led me want to shine my light a little bit more. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. My inner critic is still with me to this day. It was with me as I was preparing these words, but I have a much different relationship with it now. I know that I have an option of not listening to it, not fighting against it, but just speaking the truth of who I am, my being. I am whole, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am all the positive things I can say back to it, and I am very grateful for Unity for giving me these principles. And that is all.
We are so glad that you worked through that. You contribute so much. Okay, so our next speaker, all right, y'all know this is graduation time, right? All right, so I've known Colleen, I think since 2006, 2005, somewhere back when the Quimby's were still here. And then she has just stayed with us and supported us all along. Now, she has a grandson. And when you first started telling me about your grandson, he wasn't just a little guy in high school, and he had a real story to tell. And then you sent me this speech. He went back to his high school in Mississippi, the Mississippi School for Math and Science. And we have one here in Arkansas like that too, by the way. But anyway, he went back, and so I said, oh, well, I should listen to this for Colleen. And then it just blew me away. So I want to share it with you now. What it is, you guys, is I've got it timed, so we're not gonna listen to the whole thing. Let's see.
Speaks in English. A native of Hernando, Mississippi, and a 2010 in the classroom.
You turn this off.
Dr. Engel is a lifelong chess player and also really good at the Rubik's Cube.
Here he is.
Thank you for that introduction. It's great to be here again after so many years, though it feels like not so long ago that I was here as a student. Those who remember me would be surprised to learn that I've done a lot of public speaking in my time. Things like medicine, science, and research come easily to me, but I've never given a talk like this. When I got this invitation, a lot of thoughts went through my head. First was, this must be a mistake, you guys need a grown-up to do this. Second was, what could I tell you that you would like to hear? Fortunately, I was reminded that I do have a story to tell, one of personal struggle that happened while I was at MSMS and certainly made me who I am today. I'd like to share that story with you all now. It starts with me beginning high school, I would say, in a pretty normal way. I played video games, played the trumpet in band, was terribly bored in class. About halfway through my freshman year, I started to develop headaches. Became more frequent over time, more intense over time, followed by this migratory bone pain, low-grade fevers, and fatigue. Over several months, I saw maybe a half dozen different providers and got probably twice as many possible diagnoses. Not a lot of headway. Things reached a tipping point in May of 2007 as sirens blaring, an ambulance rushed me to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Anemic, weak, barely conscious, my body sprouted tubes in every direction. My first night was touch and go. Pale as the sheets, I got unit after unit after unit of blood. Alarms or machines around me buzzed and beeped, alarms signaling the crisis. After 3 pain-filled months, I finally had a diagnosis, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I was suddenly faced with uncertainty and a lack of control. I traded in my car keys, newly obtained, for a wheelchair, and my life became one of doctors' needles at nausea. The first thing that I learned from that experience was patience, as I spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours in the hospital in a pre-smartphone era. I read, I spent time thinking, I played with Rubik's Cube, played chess, thought some more. I had a port placed under my skin, a small, firm plastic device that can be accessed with a needle and used to draw blood or give chemotherapy. But getting chemo made going to school difficult. The entirety of my sophomore year was spent at home, with a homebound teacher coming out to help me catch up. This was not a great substitute for the real thing. You might think that my biggest worry during this time would be surviving the ordeal that I was going through, but I would say that it was, my biggest fear was falling behind my friends, being left behind in school, left behind academically. Before my diagnosis, I would say that I was unfocused, didn't have much as far as goals for the future. But after my diagnosis, I knew that I had to have goals. I heard about MSMS through a friend of a friend, and I read the course catalog, and probably like a lot of you, as soon as I read it, I was hooked. I applied alongside 2 of my best friends, and we were all accepted, and I came here in fall of 2008. I moved 3 hours away from my family, away from the medical team that was taking care of me. My 18 months out of school quickly showed it was a very difficult experience. To keep from falling further behind, I moved my treatments to the weekend. Every Friday, a little yellow MSMS short bus would drive me down 45 to an adult cancer center, Dr. Whitaker's Oncology, where I would get my infusions that had been shipped from St. Jude. I would try to shake it off over the weekend and come back strong on Monday to maintain my academics. Despite the challenges that I had while I was here, my experience was unbelievable. Living and struggling among all of my friends was an experience that has been unmatchable ever since. MSMS taught me the importance of personal drive, perseverance, community, and academic excellence that have allowed me to excel where I previously struggled. I hope that it's done the same for you.
Okay, now he talks a lot about his experiences at the school, which were good, but let's see, I want to,
Who was that, Jeannie?
excuse me?
Newfound families scattered across the...
This is Reverend Colleen's grandson.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. So, then he goes to college. Like, was that not hard enough with the portal and all of that? Okay, so, but you need to know what he became.
I had college acceptances that I would say familiar names from here to California, but I decided to stay local. I went to Mississippi State, partially at the encouragement of Ms. Z, who had a tremendous impact on my life, more than she could know. She told me that after what I'd been through, I needed to focus not entirely on academics, but also on having fun. I went to Mississippi State with a group of friends from MSMS, and I can say that she gave good advice. I did have fun. I studied biomedical engineering, and I got to flex the math and science background. While I was there, I met my wife, Amber. We've been together 14 years.
See, I couldn't believe that. 14 years.
We have two beautiful children, Lily and Ivy, ages 5 and 2. Both of them are smart. One of them is well behaved. Towards the end of undergrad, I was torn between a career in science and medicine. I ultimately learned about combined MD, PhD programs, an accelerated way to earn 2 doctorates and blend 2 careers. I applied and was accepted at the University of Mississippi Medical Center with the goal of someday circling back to treat people in the same shoes that I had once been in. I roomed with a good friend from MSMS, and one of my juniors followed me into the MD, PhD program the very next year. My time was split. In medical school, I spent from dawn until dusk studying, learning at a frantic pace, and learning to apply that in patient care. But in graduate school, the pace was slower, but the projects were large, the path unmapped. In some cases, I had to create a path where none had been before. I spent days at the bench doing PCR, working under the microscope, analyzing data, and writing manuscripts, but I didn't do it alone. With little steps, I accomplished things that I thought that I never could have. When I was here, I remember asking one of the English teachers, Dr. Curtis, how one could possibly write a dissertation. I said, 150 pages of anything is too much. He reassured me, saying, just think of it as 10, 15-page chapters, which was comically not reassuring at the time. Now I see what he means. Small ideas snowballed into projects, which led to more ideas and more projects. And eventually, how could I talk about anything for an hour turned into, what do I need to cut to get this down to an hour? It's still a shock to see work that I've done, reviews that I've written, accumulating citations over the years. Now people whose work I once sought for guidance are referencing things that I have done. I stayed at University of Mississippi Medical Center after medical school and into residency, my first foray as a real doctor. That experience is a talk of its own, but there was an MSMS-like connection there between me and my co-residents as we worked long hours and learned quickly. I was an intern in the ICU during the peak of what I would describe as lethal COVID. That was a very difficult time for everyone. I found that I developed a knack for taking care of critically ill patients. I was steering complex physiology and managing difficult but rewarding discussions with family, often navigating the end of life. I found myself staying late a lot by choice. I had a hard time handing over patients in difficult transitions. I had built rapport, I had become invested, and I wanted to be there for those pivotal moments. Almost a year ago today, maybe within this past month, I finished medical residency and moved on to fellowship, another graduation down. I moved into hematology and oncology, coming full circle to treat cancer as I'd always hoped to do. I'm finally a fellow now, but what does it mean to be a fellow? It means that when I was in your shoes at age 18, finishing high school, I thought, I could do 18 more. But at the same time, I'm a teacher. I'm responsible for the work and the education of those around me. My days on the hematology wards are spent with residents, medical students, as we run a team getting new leukemias from all over the state. Just this week, I got one from Dr. Whitaker, the doctor who helped deliver my treatments all those years ago. My team and I help patients navigate weeks in the hospital and invariably the most difficult times of their lives. I extend life, minimize suffering, and bond over shared experiences, like how weird it is to have a port. I space out vital signs in the middle of the night. I cut out extra finger sticks, and I don't draw blood twice when once will do. And that's because I was fortunate to have an education that not a lot of doctors get to have. Not an engineering background, not lab techniques, not statistics or grant writing. No, my most impactful education has been my experience on the other side of the stethoscope, surrounded here by a tight-knit community, a family of friends. I'll start to wrap up with advice in 4 parts. First, know that you'll have an early...
Now we can get the full talk to you if you want to finish it, but he gives advice and it has such a nice closure. But yeah, okay. But Jason gives a nice closure. But what I want to say is I just couldn't believe all that he went through and all he had to be determined to do. And then he didn't just like become a doctor, he became a researcher. He 2 PhDs. It's amazing, Colleen. Now, with that, I want to bring you up here, and you and I talked on the phone. I know you've got grandmother experience, mother experience, Reverend Mother experience, but whatever
you'll be wonderful, so. Oh, actually, you're good, because you've got it on you.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me, Jean. That was a surprise yesterday when she told me this. I want to PS a bit on Jason. He told his mother, and he's a introverted, quiet, private kind of guy, but he said the second or the third night when he felt he could just easily slip right out of his body. It would just been that easy to do. And he realized that, and he's an only child, solo mom, and he knew that if he did that, what he would do to her. So he had to set a goal so big that he couldn't do it alone. And so he turned to that higher power, though he might not call it that, and set the goal to be a doctor to help kids not go through what he went through. So I've always loved that he had that wisdom, that choice, and recognized he had the choice. And I thought how true that was, because he lost so much blood a couple of different times that they weren't sure. They said, we can't do anything more. It's going to be up to him and whatever. For me, obstacles, the one that kind of ties into you, dear heart, is the one that I thought I'll share this one, because you don't think of it as an obstacle usually when you're young and growing up. But I have always walked out of step with my family. When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be a part of everything, go with the flow. But my dad was a Free Will Baptist Hellfire and Damnation evangelist. We were in church Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and a lot of times Sunday afternoons. So I grew up in the shadow of the church, but I was a white kid asking questions and attending different churches, and they all taught different things. And it led to my questioning all of it. And so there's been a grief inside of me for years of being not the black sheep. I never really call myself that, but being out of step with everybody else, accepting the Father's faith and moving along with life and not being a problem. My mother died in 2012 from old age. She was 98.8 years old, and she lived with me. I kept her for about 5 years. And about 2 days after she died, I was standing under the portico of a Costco shop in Germantown, Tennessee, watching for a friend that was going to help me decide if I needed new tires or not. I'd been told I did. He said, you don't do that till I get there. Okay. And while I'm watching for him, I heard my mother's voice in my left ear. I knew it wasn't her instantly, but it was her, if you can get that. And my mother told me how delighted she was that she and Dad had discovered that what I taught as a unity minister was far closer to the truth. And I think she actually said the truth than what Dad had taught, that he so sincerely believed. That has meant the world to me. So what I would say to you is that obstacles are catalysts to get our attention, to get us to grow more and unfold and to accept that those obstacles are not bigger than us. They're there to get us to think differently. I am grateful for unity, and I'm grateful for what unity gave to me, because the one thing that's come back to me so clearly is, in one sentence, is unity teachings gave me back my dignity. As a fundamentalist Christian who really turned to the Methodist Church early in my life, as a much more encompassing, accepting foundation. But what I had heard was I was unworthy of God's grace, and it was only through the grace of God that I was even on this planet. But what Unity told me was, I'm a part of God. I am a child of God. I've inherited the godlike qualities. And so I continue to teach that and to work with people with that whole idea. Excuse me. Obstacles, and I have yet to hear any person I've talked to in any depth with this say that they didn't become better as a result of whatever they had gone through. So this morning I had a quick text conversation with James Buchanan, and all of you know him. And I said, isn't it interesting how the noise in my head is getting in my way today? And he laughed and he said, of course, because that is true for any minister that I know of, is on Sunday morning, you're constantly preparing, you're working, you're refining, you're developing, because the last thing we want to do is bore you. And by the way, you scratch a minister and they bleed a sermon, so you have to stop me. But it was so interesting because truly the obstacle that stops most of us is the noise in the head. Pay attention. And the key thing that I would say to you that I've learned in the last couple of years, the universe is always listening. That's not new. But what is new for me is the discovery that we're moving closer to a unity of our thinking and consciousness. So when you ask a question, believe me, the universe is seeking to respond. It may be at 3 in the morning. It may be through a book. It may be through a chance remark. But paying attention and living and practicing the presence of God is everything to me anymore. My children have their own spiritual path. I have 2. And their kids have their spiritual path. But I am careful to support what they are doing and hold it for them as sacred, because it is where they are on purpose. We each have that same thing going for us. And I'm so tickled to be here today and to get to experience this place of peace and grace that you have created here. God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Can you just lead us in just a short little meditation? I miss hearing your meditations. So.
Let's take a moment. If it's comfortable for you, just open your palms wherever that fits on your skeletal behavior. Just be open and receptive. I don't use the word God much anymore. I use loving presence and loving power. Because the presence and power of God is what I want to feel and experience. So feel that presence and power within you. Breathe it in. Let it rest in your heart of hearts. Be thou made known through me, as me, for me. The Father and I are one. I am love. I am harmony. I am peace. I am whole. I am power. I am freedom. I am walking in the light of truth. I am the light. I am open, and I flow and experience the power of goodness in every area of my life. And this is the way it truly is. And so it is. Amen.
So I think we could rewrite a few of those lyrics, but that was Miley Cyrus from her Hannah Montana days. That came across. I was asking about some songs, and I said, well, as a duet, that was really beautiful, and it's about the climb. That's part of it, but I love it that going back to the affirmation, they seem like boulders, but we can you imagine just bursting it into just pebbles? Small things. It's like Jason said, it isn't a 150-page dissertation. It's 10 chapters, 15 pages each, or something like that. We can break it down. We can break it down. So for this week, remember your obstacle story. Think about your obstacle story. We didn't all share today. We may share through the month. Who knows? But how did you transform? What happened? And I love Colleen's thing about being a catalyst. An obstacle is a catalyst for us. That's something to remember. And so we can be grateful for what we've done. If when I go back and I look and I go, wow, I did that. Wow. And it's like I think Jason was looking back over his time and really appreciating that was quite an arc. And we all have that. And so again, remember the affirmation, I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. So, thank you all for sharing and for being a part of this. And now is our moment to give. So, take a moment, consider the gifts that you give in time and talent and financial. And we appreciate everything you do that keeps us going here at Unity.